involves her.
And I suppose I just want to begin by acknowledging the presence of the new Minister of State at the Department of Agriculture, Deputy Andrew Doyle, and I want to first of all congratulate the Minister on his new appointment. I had the honour of serving with him on the last Agriculture, Food and Marine Committee, where he was chairman of that committee over the last Dáil and Seanad, where he performed excellently, did an excellent job, and I have no doubt bringing the knowledge and his professionalism to the new role that he will perform excellently as Minister of State as well. And I wish you well, Minister, over in Agriculture House with all your colleagues and the new Senior Minister there as well. This issue that I'm raising today relates to the sheep sector, a sector which you will be very familiar, Minister, coming from County Wicklow, large sheep population in that county, but a large sheep population throughout the whole of the Republic. In fact, there are more sheep than people living in the Republic. We're highly dependent on the sheep sector as part of the Foodwise 2025 strategy. In terms of agri-food exports and in live shipping. It's an important part of the farm fabric, particularly in the west of Ireland, where the land would be more marginal in nature and where sheep farmers are struggling to make ends meet. The margins in sheep farming tend to be quite low, and I was heartened by the commitment in the programme for government that there is, as I understand it, in the region of €25 million available or thereabouts for a sheep premium type scheme like the old headage scheme, and I very much welcome that. And the reason I'm tabling today's commencement debate is to give the Minister an opportunity maybe to outline what stage it's at. Obviously it will take a budgetary commitment in Budget 2017, which will be later this year, in relation to making provision for that, but where the how the funding is going to be ring-fenced. Will it be a premium flat rate per euro? What's anticipated at this stage without preempting any consultations that are taking place? But I would emphasise that it's important to consult with the sector. And to consult also with, while you have the main farming organisations, there are also organisations which are quite newly established, such as the Irish Natura and Hill Farmers Association, which have made a number of specific recommendations around young farmers, equalisation of payment and stuff like that, and whether or not it's envisaged that there will be consultations with organisations such as that. We have the larger farm organisations. It's important to consult with those also, but I would call on the Minister to ensure that if a payment is to be made available, that it doesn't discriminate negatively or favourably towards any particular, whether lowland or upland, that there will be some form of a flat rate payment. Now, there are additional constraints on farming in marginal and hill land. Will there be anything brought into consideration in relation to that? And will there be anything in relation to younger farmers to make sure that they're not precluded from obtaining the payment for all of their flock, given some restrictions? There are issues, obviously, that will be probably delved into as the year goes on, but I would ask the Minister at this stage, and that's why I tabled it early, to give an opportunity to make sure that there's a wide-ranging consultation.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank
you, Minister.
Okay. Thank you, Senator. First of all, this is the first opportunity I have had to address the Upper House, and to say that I'm delighted that it's on a subject that I have some interest in, dare I say it, vested interest as a flock owner. So I'm very pleased also that a former colleague on the last Joint Directors Committee on Agriculture, Food and Marine, where I think we proved beyond doubt that you can actually work constructively cross-party and non-party for the betterment of the sector that we represent. So what I propose to do is give you the official script, and which gives the broad outline, and then maybe in the follow-on I can discuss some of the things like the flat rate and that as well. The programme for government, as you said, commits to the provision of €25 million for the support of the sheep sector in the budget of 2017, and that this commitment recognises the commitment of the government to the development of the sheep meat sector. The sheep meat sector is an important element of the national economy, generating output value of the order of €320 million and exporting in excess of €230 million in 2015. The sector also makes vital contribution to the economy, supporting 34,000 farm families directly, as well as providing several thousand jobs indirectly in rural areas. This commitment is additional to the support provided through the loss through the areas of natural constraint and through TAMS. The Senator will be aware that the inclusion of a TAMS measure to support sheep fencing was recently announced. This approval followed lengthy discussions between the Department and the European Commission and will provide significant boost to sheep farmers, especially young farmers who wish to commence sheep production, by providing with the means to invest significantly in the necessary infrastructure on their holdings for if they're going to manage and farm in sheep successfully. The supports provided through these measures are a recognition of the critical importance of the sheep sector, which makes a vital contribution, as I said, to the economic viability of rural areas in particular, through farming, processing and marketing, and also plays a central role in shaping the landscape, both in more intensive farming areas and areas where the more marginal land dominates. This scheme has the potential to deliver targeted support to an important sector of Irish agriculture. And certainly my objective that the scheme delivers a long-term cumulative benefit to the sheep sector. Support from the Department for the vital work of Teagasc and Sheep Ireland is also critically important. Developing new and more lucrative markets is a key challenge, and in this regard my department works to develop market opportunities by opening up new markets and supports the work of Board BIA in the promotion of sheep in domestic UK and EU markets. The Department has been engaged in consultations with farm bodies to inform its work on the detailed new sheep scheme. I'll take the point about the smaller representative organisations who have been in contact, I might add. Any such scheme will have to be approved, as the Senator will know, by the European Commission under the Rural Development Programme. It must meet exacting requirements of the Rural Development Regulations in terms of compensating farmers for actions undertaken on the basis of costs incurred or income foregone. Furthermore, as in any rural development scheme, actions taken by farmers must go beyond the normal standards of husbandry practice before they can be considered eligible for the cost incurred. The challenge here will be to develop a simple and practical scheme that makes a real contribution to the development of the sector while meeting all the EU requirements. There is also an obligation on us to ensure that any scheme provides for the support of sheep farmers target at improving farm practices that will have a lasting and cumulative benefit to sheep farmers and to the national flock. I am also very aware of the need to ensure that the scheme is made available to as many sheep farmers as possible. In that context, it is important that the different systems of production of both lowland sheep farmers and hill sheep farmers are taken into account in any such scheme. So on the basis of the engagement of farm bodies to date, there is a reasonable degree of consensus that Article 33 of the Rural Development Regulation, which provides for support for animal welfare measures, is the most appropriate vehicle for supporting the sector in this instance. I am particularly anxious to ensure that the scheme includes measures suitable for the differing production systems in both hill and lowland flocks. So at this stage, the Department has had an initial meeting with the European Commission and is working through the detail of the proposed scheme. And I can assure you, Senator, and anyone else, that the examination of the proposals by the Commission will be forensic and will focus on ensuring compliance with relevant regulations, additionality and value for money, should I say. As a result of these discussions, officials at the Department are working intensively on ensuring that any scheme meets the requirements of the Commission, and it is expected that there will be further ongoing detailed communication with them on the details of the scheme. The scheme will also have to be presented to the Monitoring Committee of Ireland's Rural Development Programme prior to final submission to the European Commission. So my focus now is on delivering a scheme that can maximise the number of participants, deliver tangible benefits to the sheep sector in terms of its impact to on-farm practices. And this scheme really has the potential to deliver targeted support to an important sector of Irish agriculture. And it is the objective to design and implement a scheme that delivers long-term benefit to all hill, lowland, and it's simple. I think that's going to be the key to it, that the measures are tangible, that they realise a real benefit, but that it's kept as simple as possible. And to answer just one point you raised, I think the 25 million can cover, if that's the preferred option, a flat rate right across without having it either front-loaded or curtailed at a capped at 200, 250 head. It has actually, the budget does allow for it to cover all sheep, all breeding sheep in the system at the moment.
Thank you, Minister. Do you wish to satisfy?
Just to thank the Minister, it's a very comprehensive reply, and I'd agree with the Minister in everything that he has said. Obviously, value for money is to the fore, and very often with these types of schemes, I mean, if you're looking for efficiencies in the scheme and making sure that the money that's available actually reaches the recipient, flat rate is probably the easiest to administer, and certainly I presume most farmers would probably avail of that or find benefit from that as well. Plus, it would reduce paperwork costs and burden to farmers, so there are things to watch as well. Gormila Maigad, Gazao Moore.
Thank you, Senator. Do you wish to add anything, Minister?
Yeah, I mean, I think just one thing on developing the markets. It's important that when Board BIA or the department go out on trade missions, and like to America in particular, they were here, they will identify traceability as a key thing. So traceability on, if this is a measure on animal welfare, measures taken that it's traceable. The dreaded tagging hasn't been discussed here, but it's probably something that will come into the mix at some stage, and certainly there have been submissions on it. It's not something at the moment that's on. It's more just to focus in on animal welfare, and like if it's lameness, for instance, and I know this personally, a lame animal doesn't put on flesh, doesn't make you money. So if it's a measure like that simple, that allows people, combined with the fencing, which actually provides the infrastructure for, and does give access to young farmers in particular who might be starting from, you know, an underdeveloped property or greenfield site, you know, that was never in sheep farming before, because the one thing you can never have enough of on a sheep farm is good fencing. It's the key to grass management and everything else, and good neighbours. So those are the sort of things that need to be just focused on, and then I think there can be real benefit, real tangible benefit.
Thank you, Minister.